the military teaches us so much, and it's almost embedded in our DNA to be extraordinary entrepreneurs and business owners. I mean, the discipline, the grit, the resilience, the teamwork, the leadership, like all these things that you need to be successful in business. It's like kind of what's ingrained in us the whole time we're in. So really harnessing all that is where obviously the veterans thinking about separating have to know we have a major advantage.
What is Agent Ignite? Get educated on current and forecasted market trends and valuable insight on real estate related topics from accredited experts, giving you a competitive edge in the industry. Sign up for the next Agent Ignite session at theruthteam.com/events.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, David Robinson. Today, our guest is Tim Kelly. Tim, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, not a problem. It's an honor. This is an amazing podcast, helped a ton of people. So it's my pleasure, man. Looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. So Tim is a real estate investor and educator, a best-selling author, speaker, and high-performance coach. He also recently separated from the U.S. Navy as a chief petty officer after 15 years of service. Thank you for your service, Tim. As VP of Education and co-owner in the incredible platform Active Duty Passive Income, ADPI, Tim is helping active, veteran, reserve, and other military-affiliated personnel realize their financial freedom goals through personal finance, real estate investing, and wealth building, education, and coaching. Tim also co-authored the #1 best-selling book with ADPI titled Military House Hacking, and he is now working on his, not just his first, second, or third book, his fourth book specific to commercial and multifamily investing. So, Tim, you've accomplished a lot, while you were in the military and since you have left. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. So if you don't mind, let's back up. Let's talk about that, how you even got into the real estate world, and then let's discuss a few little things about how you're helping veterans get into the investing space at this point in time.
Yeah, man, not a problem. So like you said, I was in the Navy. I served 15 and a half years. And I got out November of 2020. So during my career, and I was in for about 10 years. I went on a long deployment in 2014 and kind of just stocked up on a stack of books about, just always had a genuine interest and curiosity about just building wealth and personal finance and just money management, because they don't teach it. So I'm like, how do people become so wealthy and create abundance and essentially get rich there's no education. So I'm like, I got to read up on this stuff on my own. So I just read a bunch of books on that deployment, and I just saw this pattern of real estate investing. And, I just got the bug before I even got off that deployment. So as soon as I got off that deployment, late 2014, early 2015, I kind of just dove in and just got, read every single book I possibly can, started diving into the podcast, learned about the, Bigger Pockets community, and then invested a lot of money into education and mentorship and coaching, just so I could really have all the knowledge. And I knew investing in myself made a whole lot of sense. And a lot of military members that come back from deployments, they like to spend money on cars and stuff like that. I decided to invest it in myself and just give myself the education and mentorship and coaching, and kind of did that and sort of went and had the knowledge across all the different asset classes. Like horizontally, I learned all the different concepts and strategies and asset classes and ways to get involved. And then I quickly kind of just was magnetized and drew closer to the commercial and multifamily. It just made the most sense to me at the time. I didn't think that I had to just kind of start with single family homes and scale up and slowly baby step your way. I just maybe was impatient. I just didn't want like $100, $200 per door cash flow. And it seemed like it was too much, especially because I was still active duty, and I just wanted to create wealth to give me options after the military. So I kind of just went straight to commercial multifamily and just dove right in, and, both small multifamily, 2 to 4 units, as well as the large commercial multifamily that I kind of just quickly dove into. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what allowed me to just separate and get right out of the Navy at 15 and a half years. And I got a lot of funny looks being so close to that 20-year, mark. And people are like, why are you getting out? They just didn't understand. And my time, it just didn't make sense for me to stay in for another 4.5 years, do what I wasn't really, where my heart wasn't all about it. I would have had to go on another couple of deployments. It just, I just would rather have, continued to build my wealth. And then obviously I got involved in active duty passive income. And now I'm able to share all that and give back and create a lot of other military members, help them establish their financial freedom and create wealth through buying real estate in America and owning more of the land that they fight so hard for. So yeah, that's what my main focus is right now, and just helping coach and educate other members in our active duty passive income community.
Well, I appreciate that background, and I want to touch on a couple things. First off, when you started to explore investing in real estate, roughly what time frame was this? Let me ask it this way: what year did you actually separate from the military, and what year did you buy your first investment property? Just to give us some context.
Yeah, absolutely. 2011 was when I wasn't investing. I used my VA loan to purchase a single family home, and then I ended up house hacking it without even really knowing what that was. And then I, went on the deployments and house hacked it. Had the roommate in there with my wife, and then learned about that, the idea of investing. So right off that deployment, I ended up just buying some land locally. I was just looking at real estate, and I learned a little bit about buying land. And so I bought that piece of land, with a partner in 2015, right? That after I got off that deployment, and then dabbled a little bit and tried to figure out wholesaling and the single family stuff. And then that's when it didn't really make sense to me. And then I got into, in 2016, I'm like, I'm doing multifamily. That's what I'm focusing on. And then I got orders to come to Pensacola, Florida, where I still reside today. That was my last duty station, Pensacola, Florida. And as soon as I got here in early 2017 is when I bought a 4-unit property, because I just really enjoyed the house hacking strategy. But 6 months later, I closed on the commercial and multifamily deal in 2017.
Got it.
With some partners. And then I ended up getting out November of 2020.
Got it.
So within really that 3.5-ish year span, kind of just aggressively was getting into the commercial, multifamily, mobile home communities, apartment communities. And then early to mid 2018 is when I kind of joined forces with active duty passive income. Like I said, now I'm a co-owner, and I've been just doing deals while still active duty, building up the Adpi, scaling that company. So yeah, November of 2020 is when I got out. The first deal was done in mid 2017. My first actual apartment complex deal.
Cool.
Yeah.
But that's great. I think that gives our listeners some context, especially those that are in the military right now and are trying to figure out a way potentially for them to either serve their full time and exit that way, and then also get into real estate. But also some that want to do exactly what you've done and be able to exit early, but also have a path to financial freedom and building wealth and carving out their own path. Was there any challenges that you faced during that time as far as the mindset of exiting the military early? You alluded to the fact that you got a lot of funny looks by people when you decided to exit after 15 and a half years. From a mindset perspective and actually taking the action to leave, any advice that you would give to veterans who may be considering the same thing?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, when we're serving in the military, we're focused on our mission, whether they enjoy it or not. But most of the people in the military don't have the ambition to make a big dent in this world and create a lot of abundance and give back and build the legacy and all that. So you can't really have conversations about, hey, I'm going to buy a 100-unit apartment complex with some partners, or I'm, going to raise some capital, or I'm going to look at deals, or I'm, going to create these other vehicles and give 7 figures this year. You couldn't talk to that to the most, just like any W-2 job, any normal corporate job. A lot of people don't see through that lens. So it's really difficult. But yeah, when you're surrounded by those individuals, you're inevitably going to be affected by them, right? So there was a lot of people are you sure you want to do this? And I did second guess myself, and even my family, even my spouse was this doesn't seem right, and but I like knew deep down it just didn't make sense for me to stay in. But as far as that transition, I've seen a lot of people in our community. They're currently going through that transition. They're about to go through and endure that transition because there are opportunities out there. If you obviously have the education, you're putting yourself in the right environments and hanging out with the right people, and you are able to set goals and move towards goals with discipline. I mean, it's not for everybody, but the military teaches us so much, and it's almost embedded in our DNA to be extraordinary entrepreneurs and business owners. I mean, the discipline, the grit, the resilience, the teamwork, the leadership, like all these things that you need to be successful in business. It's like kind of what's ingrained in us the whole time we're in. So really harnessing all that is where obviously the veterans thinking about separating have to know we have a major advantage. But and again, transitions are not easy at all, especially if you spent a good amount of time in the military. There's a lot that people take for granted being in the military, just the benefits, the medical, and just the consistent, 3 meals a day, the roof over the head, like the basics. It's always covered. You don't even think about it, right? But now, obviously, you separate. You gotta consider that, think about it, and yeah. So there's a lot there to unpack. But I've successfully seen a lot of veterans transition successfully, even just in our community alone. And I know a lot of other veterans who are transitioning out into real estate and realizing that there's a lot of opportunity in real estate, which makes their transition that much easier.
Are you about to start a podcast or producing a podcast and tired of doing the editing yourself? We have produced over 1,000 daily shows, and the production team that I've created, they're now available to produce shows for you as well. We can do as little or as much as you need, from finding and communicating with guests, preparing introductions, to editing the audio and video. You will sound better, have a more professional presence, and be able to spend your time doing other valuable tasks on your business. Let me know you're interested by emailing me directly at whitney@lifebridgecapital.com.
Well, and it was a process for you, right? I mean, you really started to, from an investment standpoint, 2015, your first sort of investment in the land deal, and then 2016 started to really hone in on your focus of multifamily. Bought that 4-unit in 2017. So here we are talking about 2017 when you really started to get real clear on what you wanted to do. Yeah. And then you didn't exit until 2020. So, a 3-year transition period for you that you were setting things up. You joined ADPI in 2018. And so you were really putting the pieces in play to be able to exit and do what you wanted to do moving forward in your, second professional life. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with ADPI, how you got involved, what your role is, and how you help veterans and active duty in that space.
Yeah, man, it's thinking back, it's crazy. I was sharing my story. I was a guest on the Bigger Pockets podcast back in 2018 with one of my partners. We were just sharing our story. And then one of the co-founders of ADPI was listening to the podcast, heard me on the podcast. His name is Eric Upchurch. Now just one of my best friends and, still co-founder and co-owner in ADPI. He heard me on the podcast. I gave out my cell phone number at the end of the Bigger Pockets podcast. People think I was crazy for doing that. But hey, number one, he heard me. He immediately got my number. He immediately called me and we just hit it off immediately. We talked for a couple hours. And since then, I, was part of the team and was invited onto the team because I always had a passion for educating military members. Even while I was serving, there's this cool role called a command financial specialist, where you are able to help screen, sailors and Marines and service members on base and on ships, on deployments, about their own personal finance and just getting their head wrapped around their financial education. So I always had a knack for just learning about personal finance and building wealth and sharing it and teaching other members. So he heard that on the podcast, and I was focusing on multifamily, and they were looking for, a multifamily educator, and it was just a perfect fit. And so at that point I joined, and from there we just helped build a community. At that point, it was just a small, single family residential course for military members, the Military Real Estate Investment Academy, 1.0, the first one we did, a small Facebook group, and then just a basic podcast, right? And looking back, that was in mid 2018. And from that point, now we've interviewed people like Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, Jocko, all these incredible people. We get more fulfillment interviewing service members who just start from zero, go through our community, go through our education, join our masterminds, and now they're crushing it and building this empire outside, while a lot of them are serving in active duty. And it's just been a pleasure to be part of. I created the Military Multifamily Academy and Mastermind. I co-created actually with Adam Labar, the other multifamily coach, an incredible Air Force veteran. Now he's officially out as a vet. And so kind of started just as the multifamily educator, and we created this amazing course, this mastermind. Now, hundreds of members, part of those masterminds, and it's just awesome to see. And now I'm the VP of education we are an education company, number one. And our Facebook group alone is going to be at 100,000 members this year. And just podcast is just blown up. We have all these amazing things, financial services. We have a mortgage company, insurance brokerage to help serve our members. And so just seeing that has been amazing. And it's just super humbling watching members come in with like just an open mind, open heart, veteran or active duty. They go through our proven framework and they're just crushing it now, and they're building an empire. So that's kind of somewhat of the story. And then at that point, I was the fifth member to come on. Now, there's 25 to 30 different team members that are all helping push, this mission forward, and just and continue to spread awareness about, educating veterans on how to buy more of America that they fight so hard for.
Well, that's incredible. And what a great journey, and what a great service you guys are all providing. A ton of value there in the Facebook group and podcasts and masterminds and education platform, all that. And just being around like-minded people that are doing what, everybody in the group wants to do, building wealth and generating cash flow and being able to pass that on for generations. So I want to talk a little bit about high-performance coaching. You are a certified high-performance coach. People that aren't familiar with what that even means, maybe just give us a breakdown of what that is and what you do as a high performance coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just, even when I was reading the books on stuff on deployment, it was not just all about money and building wealth. I just was always just infatuated with personal development. And just, I was not really even a great student, and I was never all about learning about science and math and even history and stuff like that. I enjoy reading things that I felt would benefit me or those around me. And it was personal development. I was just always attracted to just learning how to become a better leader, communicator, just, how to have your really more energy, more confidence, and all these different things, how to improve your emotional intelligence. So I always just was enjoying reading books about personal development. And so, becoming a certified high performance coach was through Brendan Burchard's High Performance Academy. I mean, big fan of Brendan, and he kind of put that whole program together. And so, I got a lot out of that, and I'm now a certified high performance coach. And what that actually means is when you look at all the highest performers, across the board, regardless of their industry, they share something very specific. They share very similar habits, right? And they share very similar routines and rituals. And they're not any different. They're not programmed differently. They just spend their time different. And so there's certain pillars that high performance kind of is really alluded to. And anybody could learn these different things and strive to be a higher performer. That's all based on having, number one, like the clarity of where you really want to go. And high performance is achieved when you have such a clear vision of where you're going, where you're headed, and not exactly every step how you're going to get there, but like the big, like, what do you really want to do? Where do you want to be? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? So having that clarity is absolutely crucial. And then, having the higher level of confidence, right? You have to understand that there's certain ways that you could build confidence, and the highest performers are the most confident people out there, not because they're just, because they make the most money or the most successful, but because they found ways to continue to grow their confidence every single day. The highest performers understand how to master their own psychology and master their own, self-doubt and things like that. And anybody can learn how to do this. The highest performers understand how to master their own physiology and their own levels of energy, because the amount of energy that you have is going to have a result in what you could produce and how you vibe and how you show up every single day, right? And there's so many other things that we can kind of dive into. Your level of influence, how you're influencing the people around you, and if you are a thought leader in your platform or in your community, and there's certain ways to have more influence. And so those are really the things that I love helping people kind of break through. And a lot of times it's people are simply holding themselves back from achieving absolute greatness and from being a high performer in their own way, in their own profession, regardless of what they do. So we've kind of incorporated high performance training. Not only do I do one-on-one high performance coaching outside of the ADPI community, but now we've incorporated high performance mindset and high performance habits into our curriculum when we're teaching and educating, multifamily and commercial real estate investing.
Yeah, that's incredible. And as a high performance coach, you alluded to the fact that, this is individualized, right? So you have individual people that you're coaching specific to their needs. That being said, there's probably one or two strategies, tactics that you help people deploy that have a significant impact on their success in reaching a higher level of performance. Is there anything that you could share with us that would be helpful to the listener? And again, this is generally personalized to their specific needs and what they're dealing with at that point in time. That being said, is there anything that you've noticed in your opportunity to coach a lot of different people, especially in the military community, that have that is a consistent theme about how anything that you've helped them to implement, any tactics or strategies that help them get to another level?
Man, yeah, a bunch come up right now. I mean, the first thing I thought of, everybody's trying to figure out how to be more productive, right? How to hack time, how to be, how to take advantage of more time and how to just get more done. And that's, again, higher performers have figured out how to master their productivity. And so, I mean, I'm not going to say that this strategy works for everybody, but for me personally, I've also seen a lot of people get a lot of results out of simply just mastering the art of time blocking. And understanding how your calendar, if you live and breathe on your actual time, that's where you could see time go by every single day. And if you're disciplined enough to say, hey, this 15-minute block, I will only focus on this. The next 30-minute block, I will go to this meeting, or the next 45-minute block, I will do deep work and create this. And so time blocking is one thing we could talk about, and I personally love using it. It's completely changed my life the minute I realized how powerful that was. So if you haven't heard about time blocking, or if you've tried it and you can't really get a grip on it, try it again. Figure out, the 9 to 5. A lot of us are tied up, whether it's a W-2 or through some kind of office hours. Time blocking during that time is important, but a lot of times your time is already sort of assigned and you already know what you're doing during that time. If you're not, make sure you're harnessing time blocking. But what are you doing before the 9 to 5 and what are you doing after the 9 to 5, right? Those times alone right there are what are going to make or break and separate the high performers from those who are just going to live an ordinary life, And I have a feeling people listening to this do not want to live an ordinary life. They want to figure out how to separate themselves from that. And another thing I like to throw out there, not really so much like a high performance through the certification, but what I came across was the E to E ratio, right? It is the education to entertainment ratio, especially during the 9 to 5 open door policy. The best way to be productive, if you have white space on your calendar, is two things: projects and people. Who should I be calling, connecting with? There's the people. And what projects do I need to be working on? And what are those 3 things that I need to be focusing on? That's like the productivity hack that I could share. But the E to E ratio before the 9 to 5 and after the 9 to 5, 80% of that time should be on growth, development, productivity, education, right? The education. And 20% of that time needs to be some kind of entertainment, whether you're just diffusing, Netflix and chill with your spouse, hanging out with your kids, really taking advantage of that family time. That is entertainment to a lot of people. So the 80-20 principle is like all your free time that you have each day and each week, 80% of that targeted to education and 20% of that targeted to entertainment could be life-changing and absolutely transformational for you. So obviously everybody wants to hack and master their productivity. And I'm telling you, it's all about what works for you and how you can stay disciplined and figure out how to make the best of every single hour. And it's dialing in. And a lot of times it's literally just shutting off notifications on your devices and turning them in airplane mode or focus mode now that they have that, and just not allowing those distractions. Because if you can't multitask, multitasking is an absolute myth. But I don't know. I don't want to go too far off the beaten path here.
No, this is great. I appreciate that. You've given us some high level tips and tactics that people could implement, and given our listeners a taste of what it might be like to have a conversation with a high performance coach and really dissect their day and how they're spending their time to really improve the productivity that they're able to push out on a daily and weekly and a monthly basis. Well, look, Tim, this has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed hearing about your story, your time in the military, and then how you started to think about investing and get involved in investing, and then ultimately making a hard choice to exit the military and pursue real estate full time. How you got involved with ADPI and how you helped to grow a really impressive community, and then ultimately your high performance coaching. Thank you for sharing your journey with us and some tips and tactics that will be helpful to our listeners. If others are interested in learning about ADPI, high performance coaching, or multifamily investing, what's the best way for them to connect with you and learn more about all those?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, if you're passive present military, you're active duty, you're a vet, you're a military spouse, you're in a military family, definitely head over to activedutypassiveincome.com. I mean, that right there is like the landing page to help kind of give you an idea of everything that's going on there. But join the Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group, highly engaged. It's just so valuable. We don't let anybody go in there who's a lender or an agent to try to solicit. So it's nothing but value. And like I said, that's why we're going to hit about 100,000 people this year. We're on track to do that in our group. And our best-selling book, Military House Hacking, right now, which we just updated. There was some updates in 2020 for the VA loan and certain things we wanted to throw in there. So this book, Military House Hacking, right here, it's free on our website. You could download it for free right now today on our website, or you could go on Amazon, order $7-8. If that's what you're looking to do, definitely dive into that. We have awesome education, ton of free resources there, activedutypassiveincome.com. Really, for anything else, you can go to thetimothykelly.com. That is my actual website that has all the things, all the shenanigans that I'm involved in. At Instagram, at The Timothy Kelly, LinkedIn, at The Timothy Kelly. But if this is resonating with you, you want to have a conversation, you just want to level up, just shoot me a text. I'll give you my phone number, shoot me a text, and we'll just hop on a call and we'll just get to know each other to see if there's anything we could do to work together, collaborate. Again, 847-910-9161. Shoot me a text. Let me know you heard me on the show and just hop on a call.
Awesome. Tim, thank you very much for coming on. Thanks for sharing your journey with us and sharing some tips and tactics with our listeners. If you want to connect with Tim, go down to the show notes right now, click on one of those links, hit him up via text. Tim, again, an honor. Appreciate you coming on and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks again, man.
Thank you for being a loyal listener of the show. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. We want to help you become the passive investor you've always wanted to become, but also the operator you've always wanted to become. We want to be the #1 resource for your real estate investing journey. But go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can start investing in real estate today.